Well, that was a whole lot of something, and it wasn't very good.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Go place any $5 bet, and you can get $200 bet back in bonus bets, but you probably don't want to place those bets on Oklahoma right now. The Oklahoma Sooners, go visit FanDuel.com, America's #1 sports book, to get started. Man, the Oklahoma Sooners are not in a good way right now. They fall to the Texas Longhorns 34-3 in a game that, I mean, listen, it started off pretty positively for the Oklahoma Sooners in the first quarter. I mean, the defense was flying around. The defense was putting pressure on Quinn Ewers. They were getting to the quarterback. They were affecting the quarterback, doing everything you needed to do. They created a turnover, got the ball in plus territory. Defense was playing really good ball in the first quarter. Offense couldn't move the ball, couldn't take advantage of the defense's success. And then in the second quarter, the defense just kind of fell apart. It struggled to tackle, struggled to stop the run consistently. Obviously, they were put in some bad spots by the offense with back-to-back turnovers by Michael Hawkins and Taylor Tatum. And I really think that's the place to start, because after 2 weeks of preparation time, 2 weeks to get things together, this was the best offensive performance that you could come up with. I understand that there are limitations. I understand that you're dealing with wide receivers that don't have a whole lot of experience. I understand that you've got a true freshman quarterback that's out there trying to make some things happen, but this is all we got. I mean, listen, I think Michael Hawkins has the talent to be an effective quarterback in this offense. I think Jackson Arnold does, and maybe not in this offense, but for Oklahoma. But with 2 weeks to prepare, this is the best that we could come up with. You know, I want to look on things, or look on the bright side of things. You know that I want to sit here and I want to find the silver linings, find some context into whatever happened. I just don't understand. I don't understand that what you came up with in the 2 weeks of the bye was some triple option stuff that didn't work, or a counter run play that I'm not sure gained any positive yardage, that they kept going back to. That was just a negative play. Even late in the fourth quarter, when Texas was just playing prevent defense, they tried to run that counter play where Michael Hawkins kind of sprints out to the left and hands it to Javonte Barnes. I don't know if that ever created any positive yardage. And they kept going back to it. It was ridiculous. We couldn't get anything going in the quick passing game. I expected to come into this game seeing quite a few wide receiver screens, because you want to be able to take the pressure off of your true freshman quarterback. Didn't see it. I expected to see them run the ball more. I felt like in the first half, when they were just running the ball and not trying to use the triple option to do it, they were finding some success, even running that wide zone stuff. They just couldn't find it. They couldn't find any success running off of that. Listen, I mean, they were finding success running the ball, but they weren't continuing with it. There was the one series where, it might have been the first series of the game, actually, Javonte Barnes picks up a first down. It was Gavin Sawchuk runs for like 4 or 5 yards, an efficient run. And then Oklahoma gives it to Gavin Sawchuk. Gavin Sawchuk gets it, and then Barnes runs it. They pick up a first down. First 2 plays of the drive. And then that third play of the drive, 1st and 10, drop back to pass. Michael Hawkins throws it wide, incomplete. Second play, 2nd and 10, Michael Hawkins drops back to pass. Under a lot of pressure, can't get rid of the football, takes a 13-yard loss on a sack. After you run the ball successfully the first 2 times on the drive. I get you want to mix it up and you don't want to be predictable and you don't want to run the ball a 3rd time in a row. But with your true freshman quarterback, you might need to protect him a little bit. You might need to run the football so that he has an opportunity to get ahead of the chains. If you're going to throw it on 2nd down, you might as well try to run it on 1st down and get some positive yardage so that you can throw it on 2nd down. If you're planning to throw it on 1st down and it doesn't work, try to get yourself in a better third and manageable than dropping back on 2nd and 10 and then having your quarterback take a 13-yard sack. It's just not good enough. None of this is good enough. The philosophy, the play calling, the production, the execution, none of it is good enough for an Oklahoma offense. I've been here just as much as you all have. We've talked about the injuries. We've talked about how it can impact the game. At the same time, at some point, you got to rise above it. And what I saw out of Michael Hawkins today, I think was the first time I really felt like the pressure was getting to him. Because you saw several times in the game, they go back and they show the highlight where, a curl route on the outside is there. He's looking at it and he's reluctant to throw the ball. It's a, 3rd and short. They run a couple, drag routes. A tight end wide receiver, they drop into nice little zones. If Hawkins just throws the ball, maybe it's incomplete, but it's not going to get intercepted. But maybe your wide receiver makes a play on the ball. Then there was a 4th and 3, a 4th and 4, sometime in the second half, where Michael Hawkins is kind of scrambling around a little bit. It's deep in Oklahoma's territory. And instead of just chucking it downfield and hoping for your guy to make a play on the ball, he throws it out of bounds. It was just like a really, I felt like offensively start to finish, it was just a really, really poorly played game. A really poorly played game, a poorly coached game, a poorly executed game plan, a poor game plan, a poor process. Just none of it was good enough. And if you're concerned about having injuries at wide receiver, then why are you having your quarterback drop back to pass? Let's look at the numbers here. You had Michael Hawkins drop back to pass 30 times. And sorry, that's 30 pass attempts. He also is credited with 20 carries. Now, some of those are scrambles, some of those are sacks that he took. And so you had him drop back to pass somewhere 40 plus times in this game. And yeah, you were behind for a lot of it, especially after that second quarter debacle. But even in the first quarter, even in the second quarter, when it was still 7-3, you were asking your true freshman quarterback to do way too much. If you weren't going to get the ball out of his hands quickly with some wide receiver screens, with some, quick passes over the middle, some quick slants, some of that stuff, if you're not getting the ball out of his hands quickly, hand the ball off. Put the ball into a 4-star running back's hand in front of an offensive line that's the healthiest it's been all year, and take some pressure off of your quarterback. We all want to put everything on the quarterback's shoulders. It doesn't have to be that way. I think Michael Hawkins has talent. I think he's a good player. I think Jackson Arnold has talent and is a good player. But obviously there is a disconnect right now with what's going on with Oklahoma's offense. Whether Jackson Arnold's forcing things and it's creating turnovers, or Michael Hawkins is unwilling to throw the ball because he's so afraid of a turnover, there is a huge disconnect on this offense that I don't think gets solved this year. And I said it on social media on Friday that I did not see a scenario in which they fired Seth Luttrell during the season. I still don't think that's going to be I don't think that's going to be a thing. At the same time, if it doesn't drastically improve, I don't even say drastically, but if it doesn't show any signs of improvement throughout the season, then I don't know how you can hold on to him. Injuries or not, true freshman quarterback or not, going back to Jackson Arnold or not, there's got to be some kind of improvement, because this is not good enough for Oklahoma football. And as positive of a person as I can be, there's nothing I can look at from this game and take positively, aside from what the defense did in the first quarter and somewhat in the third quarter. That's about it. Because the second quarter defensive effort was not great. The fourth quarter defensive effort was kind of meh. And so there are a lot of questions to be asked about this team right now. And I think all of them are fair. I'm not going to argue with you. If you have questions about the head coach, if you have questions about the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, if you have questions about any of it, it's all on the table, in my opinion. And boy, I know my man Jay is going to have a lot to say about it. He's getting ready to join us from Vegas. He's pulling double duty with his day job and with Locked On Sooners. So we will talk about what Jay has to say about this embarrassing loss for the second time in 3 years. The Oklahoma Sooners absolutely embarrassed and dominated by the Texas Longhorns. 2 times in 3 years under Brent Venables. Not acceptable. We'll talk more about this coming up next on Locked On Sooners. Hey, if you want some better gut health, you got to go check out ZBiotics. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. So go to ZBiotics.com/LockedOnCollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On College at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to ZBiotics.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for 15% at checkout. This episode is also brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Listen, if you got any bets on Oklahoma right now, you might want to take some of those back for later in the season, or don't plan on it because it's hard to know exactly what you're going to get out of this Oklahoma team. But hey, for the NFL fans, you can get in on the action with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. All right, bringing in our man, Jay Smith. Jay, what the heck is that?
John, I was sitting here at the sports book watching this game and thinking to myself, if Oklahoma doesn't turn the ball over, if Oklahoma plays some solid defense, we've got a chance. The only thing we got to do on offense, John, is not be inept. And guess what happened, John? We were inept. It appeared that we didn't even want to take a chance throughout this game. It appeared that we didn't even feel like, I don't know. I am baffled that, let me put it this way. I don't want to go too hard on the guys on offense. I don't want to go too hard on the young players, while at the same time, if you're on the field, you've got to make attempts. You got to go for it. You got to try. You got to make plays. And the entire game, it felt like Hawkins was scared to throw the ball downfield. Yeah. It feels like exactly what we saw from Jackson Arnold in the first couple of games. And so, as a lot of people are blaming Seth Littrell, I'm on the train of blaming Seth Littrell at this point. I don't understand why we're not – why we won't throw the ball. And then we saw in the last couple of drives, we started throwing it across the middle. And guess what, John? People were open. Look, Sawchuk was open on that little wheel route. I was so infuriated. There's another play when Hawkins got sacked. Petaway was wide open on the side. I was infuriated. It's just Texas. I'm going to give them their props here. PK, the defensive coordinator there, recognized that Hawkins was going to be a one-read or run guy. So they put Anthony Hill in there to spy. And Hill did a great job of just watching him. Every play, he shadowed his movements, and then he would blitz right there in the hole that typically Hawkins would run through. That's got to be cleaned up before we play against Ole Miss. South Carolina, we may survive in that game, right? But Ole Miss, we won't survive if we do only that. We can probably make that South Carolina game ugly like we did against Auburn and be okay because they don't make very good decisions either. We're not making very good decisions at all. Look, I would like to be mad at the defense, John. I would love to flip out and just yell at them. But you know what they did, John? You know what they did? First possession, first series, we walk out there, 3 plays, -4 yards, and an interception. Just what we needed to do. Then we missed the field goal. Okay, the defense said that's fine. We're going to continue to buckle down and do what we're supposed to do. What did they do next, John? They went out there and caused another 3 and out. 3 plays, 7 yards. So we get the ball. We get a first down on the first play. I'm like, okay, John, we've got movement. And then what happened? 5 plays total, -12 yards. We punt the ball again. Defense said, okay, it's cool. Don't worry. We got you. We cause a punt. 3 plays, 5 yards. Then we do an 11-play drive of 4 minutes and some change. We get that field goal. Even though we missed the first one, we got the second. We're like, all right, things are going to get better. Then when Texas goes down there for that touchdown, it just felt like the defense was like, dude, we're going to do this all game. Why? I do feel like the defense kind of was like, this ain't worth it today. There's no inroads on the offensive side to help us. And I feel so bad for them.
Yeah, I feel like a little bit in the second quarter they tapped out a bit. Kind of gained some of their swag in the third quarter. And, I mean, held Texas to just a field goal. Now, obviously, Texas wasn't going to be trying to put Quinn in harm's way up big at that point. But once Texas figured out that they didn't need to score a whole lot to win this game, which they figured out in the second quarter or in the first quarter when we couldn't move the football, they just ran the ball, ran quick passing plays, didn't try to get anything going downfield, didn't try to put the ball in harm's way, didn't require Quinn Ewers to drop back, 5-7 step drops and sling it down the field. No, because and they made a good adjustment because Oklahoma's pass rush was getting to them in the first quarter. But they didn't have to do a whole lot because of the ineptitude of Oklahoma's offense. I did not think it was going to be as bad as Michigan's offense was.
Yeah, we looked just as bad as Michigan's. We looked just as bad.
It was just as bad. I thought Michael Hawkins was going to be able to come into this game and sling it around a little bit better and throw it better than Alex Orji and the other guy did for Michigan, but that was absolutely not the case. And listen, maybe that's Texas. Maybe it's just the Texas defense is actually legit this year. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's not just the competition that they've played. Maybe they're actually pretty good. But from what I saw from the offense, I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, they haven't played anybody to actually push them. We started the game off that way, and then and you know what also killed? I think the entire morale on this team died after that second fumble. We had 2 plays, we fumbled the ball, Michael Hawkins gets stripped, they get the ball, 1 play, they go and score a touchdown. That's when I felt like the defense was like, guys, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And then we go out there, Taylor Tatum gets in the game. Everybody's been calling for Taylor Tatum, and this is nothing against him, but as soon as he goes out there, he fumbles the ball. And so to me, it sucks that happened to him. It's awful. But at the same time, sometimes you know why. Guys ain't going out there as early as you want them to. It's the jitters hit and the jitters suck. Barnes was doing very well on the outside zone, and then we went away from it. That outside zone was eating. He was hitting the hole on the outside. He was cutting in quickly. He was getting yards. Like, he was getting some pretty good gains in this game. Like, I'm going to go back through the play-by-play to see, but it just – Hawkins ran the ball 20 times in this game. That, to me, is where it stopped working. You ran the ball 20 times, you got 27 yards. To me, as athletic of a guy as he is, the design runs should have been better, but they weren't. Texas was ready for them. They knew that Hawkins was not going to throw the ball, so guess what they did? They pressed up and was prepared for him to run, and that's how they stopped him. As much as I would like to blame Seth Luttrell on this one, I've seen too many players wide open on these plays that we just need the quarterback to throw the ball. And it's one of those things, it's a learning, and I told you Sooner fans, if you follow me over on Unfair Sports on my channel, I said this when he got to start, you're going to have to give him grace. These are the things you see from freshman quarterbacks. It's just he needs the experience to recognize that you got to throw your guys open sometimes. Because if you wait in the pocket, because this is where the difference comes in, John. I'm sorry to hog the mic for as long as I did, but this is one thing that I recognize that Quinn did really well in this game. He sat in the pocket and he waited for somebody to get open. He would throw the ball and get hit. That's what he did. Whereas Michael was tucking the ball before he was going to get hit and trying to run, and Texas recognized that because, seriously, Anthony Hill shadowed him at the middle. And now, granted, somebody mentioned it in the chat a minute ago about Anthony Hill being their worst player in their front seven. He is, but that doesn't mean he ain't good. Like, nobody's stupid enough to say he ain't good. And he's really good. Like, he can be the worst in the front seven. Doesn't mean he's bad. It means that he's still good. He's just the one that isn't as polished as everybody else. But he did a great job of shadowing Hawkins the entire time. He literally jumped around and looked and was like, all right, as soon as I find the hole that you would normally run through, which is what you're supposed to do as a spy, he broke into that gap. And Hawkins couldn't go nowhere, John. So, no, as Jamie said in the chat, there's no way to sunshine pump in this. You can't do any of that. The only thing that I'm happy about is, if we had a pulse on offense, we are actually in this game. That's about it. That's all we got.
Yeah. Listen, I know I'm seeing in the chat some Texas fans sitting here acting like
I ain't worried about Texas fans.
That we don't think Texas has played anybody. Okay, maybe they haven't. But they're really good.
There's no maybe. They haven't. They're
good.
Who they play.
I think they're good. I think they showed today
Texas is a good team.
They're a good team. I don't think Oklahoma is very good. I was hoping that they were going to be better after the bye. I thought that they would have a chance to rectify a few things on the offense. But here we are.
And Van Lightfoot, you're right. There's no such thing as OU Magic. I've never heard of that before either. Never heard of that. OU Magic doesn't exist. You're exactly right.
Magic is not a thing.
Never existed.
But listen, I don't want to sit here and act like it's just one person that's the problem.
No.
One area that's an issue. It's just all not good offensively.
Yeah.
And I understand why some might say go to Jackson Arnold. I don't know if that necessarily helps you. You might have more turnovers because my guy's not afraid to throw the ball. He just throws it a little late.
Very late, and throws a pick.
You might.
The difference between him and Hawkins is you're not getting a whole bunch of turnovers.
Yeah.
But then our running backs decide to turn the ball over too, and it sucks. It's just everything piled on to us.
Yeah, just an unfortunate performance all the way around. I think that there's a lot of soul searching that needs to happen in the program.
Yep.
2 years ago when OU lost 49-0 to Texas, okay, Dylan Gabriel wasn't available, but when he came back, the offense kind of started humming again, but the defense was the problem, right? The defense still pretty good, not as good as it needs to be, because this needs to be a hold your opponent to 3 points kind of a defense for Oklahoma to have a chance to win a game. It's just not that.
Yep.
And so you've got to figure out something offensively, and you don't have any time to do it because you got South Carolina, you've got Ole Miss. I don't know what to think about Mizzou anymore, but you still have Alabama. You still have LSU. You got to go on the road in some of those games. And so, man, there's a lot of things going on. Jant asked the question over here. Jacoby Johnson even played one series?
Yes.
Or one down? Did he?
Yes.
Okay, I don't remember seeing him out there.
He played one on offense, but he played a lot on defense. He was playing on corner. They moved him to corner. He moved back to corner, basically. So we saw him on defense a lot of the game. I think he'll probably finish the game with over 20 snaps because I saw him out there. I looked, I'm like, oh, that's Jacoby. Oh, wait, he's on defense. They're playing him at corner, which he's a really good corner. But they didn't. The offensive packages that I was expecting to see them play with him didn't really come to fruition. I think I saw him on offense maybe a couple of times. I have to go verify from PFF, but when I go rewatch it. But yeah, no. It's a bad game. I mean, happy for Texas fans, man. Y'all finally got something going for yourselves. Enjoy it. Please enjoy and relish. You're not going to get us here to be able to praise you. I'm sorry. Like, you can come here and troll all you want. Cool. That doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, that doesn't actually affect my emotions. I just want y'all to know that. I am happy that you guys are happy for a change. Man, hey, look, some of my closest friends are Texas fans, and man, I tell them all the time, dog, I really hope that y'all get better. I hate to see you, like, want to throw stuff all the time. And you're there. Good for you. Enjoy this moment. I don't even know why you want to come troll us. But I get it. It's a rival, so you should come troll. So enjoy. Just know that this really doesn't affect my emotions. I'm about to hit the blackjack table once we're done. Then I'm going to head to dinner. Then I'm going to head back to the sports book and watch a couple more games. I got to go watch this Tennessee-Florida game. Then I got to go watch this Colorado-Kansas State. So it's going to be a great day. It just sucks that our fans just did not get the product they deserved, right? They did not get the product that we should have put on the field. It's disappointing. It's 100% disappointing that we couldn't get, put it this way, John. We talked about this literally the first, I think it was actually week 1 or week 2. Need to just script the plays. Tell them these are your 3 looks. Go here, here, here real quick and then throw the ball. If you throw it at your player's legs, fine. Just don't throw an interception. But get rid of the ball quickly because that's what the defense was wanting. They were like, he's going to go to the first read and then run. We should have just started scripting him a lot better. And I guess we should have went back to week 1 scripts and just ran the offense that way. It sucks.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. Like I was talking about it in the first segment, just kind of before you jumped on, that it just seemed like when Oklahoma was actually getting some things going on the ground, it was that second drive, right? You kind of mentioned it where they get the first down and then they go backwards. Well, they ran 2 run plays. Gavin Sawchuk picks up like 5, and then Javonte Barnes picks up the first down, and then you go pass, punt, or pass, punt. Hawkins maybe scrambles on the 3rd down play or something like that. But it just, they did not, I don't think they did much enough to help Michael Hawkins in this game. The triple option stuff, it did not work. It was not effective, which why would it be? You didn't spend any time off season practicing it. You tried to install it quickly in the 2-week bye that you had. So you've got to stick with your offense, and you've got to do the stuff that your quarterback can do well. Get the ball out of his hands quick. Run more wide receiver screen. Run more bubble screen. Run more, running back flare outs. Running more of the tight end out. Like there was just not enough of like the simple things. It was way too much down the field, and you're expecting the offensive line to hold up, which against what maybe is a pretty good Texas defensive front now that's got good edge rushers. And then, a secondary that's improved and a linebacker core that's improved. Like it's all better, but your offensive coordinator didn't do enough to help your young quarterback. When things were going okay in the running game, you decided to throw it more.
Yep.
And like you get down big and you have to start dropping back more. But listen, Hawkins had 30 pass attempts and he's credited with 20 carries, but some of those are going to be sacks. Some of those are going to be scrambles. But I bet at least a dozen of those are designed quarterback runs. So you put the ball in your true freshman's quarterback's hand 50 times. And that doesn't account for penalties or throwaways, which there were several of those. What are we doing? What are we doing? I think he's got talent. And I think he can hold up to the environment, but they're just not doing enough to help him.
Yeah, I don't understand the 50 plays in Michael Hawkins. The 50 different plays in Michael Hawkins' hands. That was not very good.
It just didn't seem like a well thought out plan. And that's the problem. That's the biggest problem I have with the offense and with the coaching staff is you had 2 weeks to prepare, and this was the plan you came up with.
And to me, to be honest, here's the thing about it. It's the bad part, is that I actually agree with the plan. I just want the quarterback to throw the ball.
He does need to throw the ball, but if he's not willing
that was the one thing I saw. There was so many dudes that were sitting open in routes. Like, I mean, the wheel route with Sawchuk, I'm going to keep talking about. I saw Petaway on the outside. I've even seen like some swing passes to the running backs he could have just tossed. That was the one thing we talked about. Check that bad boy down. Get rid of it.
Buttons.
Just take it. It doesn't matter if it goes for 1 yard or 2. If you're keeping the ball moving forward, you're going to get comfortable and you're going to start seeing them play up on that. And then when you throw that pass to Bauer Sharp across the middle, guess what? He's there for it. Mm-hmm. That's what you get. He needs to, and this is where the growing pains come in. It's going to take time for him as a young quarterback to do it.
Yeah, and I think that there's room to grow. You're going to experience some of these growing pains, but I just need the coaching staff to get out of my quarterbacks' heads about turnovers and just tell them to go play football because they've been so hyper-focused on turnovers since the Alamo Bowl We heard everybody talk about it. We heard Jackson Arnold talk about it. The coaching staff talk about it. Leading into the game, Laura Rutledge asked Brent Venables about Michael Hawkins and what he's got to do. He's got to protect the football. Going out of the first half into the second half, what does he got to do? Protect the football. Look, can we just quit? Either you want to play young quarterbacks with no experience and go through the growing pains of it all, or you don't. And if you don't, then go get Will Rogers or someone like him out of the transfer portal, or Graham Mertz of Florida, and get somebody like that to come run your offense, or Dylan Gabriel. Fine, go do that. But if you don't want to play a young quarterback and develop him, quit talking about turnovers. Stop.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's what you get out of young guys. That's the unfortunate side effects of having young quarterbacks. It will, and luckily, shout out to Michael Hawkins. He has not really turned the ball over. He also hasn't put the ball in too many risky spots. We got to push the ball downfield. We got to take those shots across the middle. And I get that we're still working in 5. We still got 5 wide receivers out. And so, yeah, we've got a substantial amount of things working against us. The key thing is to continue to push, right? Continue to push down the field. Continue to try. The run game, when we were, like I said, we were running outside zone. That stuff was working. We were working with outside zone. I mean, the speed option didn't work.
Terrible.
As much as I love Hawkins as a runner, he's not an option guy. He's not. He's a thrower, and it showed. It showed when we tried to run the option. It just did not look good. That's not his game. So we need to get him to get comfortable with sitting in the pocket and being prepared for a shot to come, or if he throws the ball fast enough in his progressions, then that they won't be able to hit him. But that's what happened in this game. Texas was reading for him to tuck and run, and they weren't going to let him.
And I think they threw that deep ball to J.J. Hester, which was just barely overthrown. Like, it was a good ball. It was into coverage. Hester was well covered. It just a little bit overthrown. That's going to happen. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick that and say that was a bad ball. It just happens. Overthrows happen. But I don't think they went back to it. I don't think that they tried another deep ball like that. I think everything was 10 yards, 15 yards inside the line of scrimmage. Like, it was, they just didn't try to go deep enough to try and stretch the Texas defense out. They didn't go sideline enough to try and stretch the Texas defense to the sidelines. It was all within the hash marks. So yeah, I just need to see them. I just need to see them be willing to live with and die with some of the quarterback might make. And maybe he won't make any. But what I need the coaching staff to do is lay off some of the turnovers, man. You got to have your quarterbacks willing to throw the ball. There was an out route, late in sometime in the second half where, hey, Michael Hawkins is looking at it. He is staring it down, and it comes open, and the DB is probably 3-4 yards off. If he throws that, it's a competitive ball, maybe, but it's probably a completion. If he throws it on time, if he throws it before the break, it's definitely a completion because he's staring it down the whole time, but he's got to throw the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's all he got to do is throw it. Yeah, he's got to just throw it. There's a lot of them. It was a lot of stare downs.
Yeah, and I think, like, I don't want to sit here and say, they got to blow the whole thing up and they got to start from ground zero and start over with a whole new coaching staff. But Brent Venables is going to have to, he's going to have to make some really tough decisions on this thing because the offense is taking a step back. And they need to be better. You can't win in the SEC if you don't have an offense. As much as this used to be a defensive league, you still got to score points. And 3 points is not going to cut it against your biggest rival. In 2 of the last 3 years, Oklahoma's offense has been held to 3 points or less. 49-0 in 2022, 34-3 today. And that's not good enough. And I love Brent Venables. I think he's a really good coach. I love Zach Alley. That's really good. That's fine. But Brent Venables is also responsible for the offense. He's the head coach. It's the same thing we held Lincoln Riley to during his tenure for having a terrible defense, right? Your head coach is responsible for all of it. He's accountable for all of it.
It's on him. So he's got to do better. He's got to do better. He's got to get better. He's going to have to coach this team better.
Yeah. And listen, C. Jenkins sitting here and asking, will Oklahoma make a bowl game? Well, that's not what it is. Here it is. Will Oklahoma make a bowl game? I have questions at this point about a bowl game. I wonder if they will get to 6-6. I don't love the matchup against South Carolina. I don't love the matchup against Ole Miss. Shoot, I don't even love the matchup against Missouri. And they just got the brakes beat off of them by Texas A&M. So it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. Like, I think South Carolina isn't a great football team, but what they do really, really well is they run really, really well, and they play really, really good defense. Jalen Milroe was in shambles today because of South Carolina's defense. Made some plays at the end, but that's a veteran quarterback with a lot of experience making those plays. How's Michael Hawkins going to hold up against some of the, the better pass rushers in next week's game?
Yeah. This is going to be fun watching Beamer Ball next week. Let's just put it that way. The combination of us on defense, their defense, the aptitude of both of our offenses. It's going to be a fascinating game. Let's just say it that way.
Yeah, it will. And then, I think Oklahoma's defense can contain South Carolina. I think, they've got Nike Harbors, who's fantastic. But I don't know if Lenora Sellers is going to be able to do enough against Oklahoma's defense. So, but will they make a bowl game? Shoot, at this point, I have no idea anymore. Let's see. Brett Martin says, worst offense ever. I can't even watch these dudes play anymore. Too much negativity. Can't compete. Listen, I hate being negative. I hate coming on here and ripping a team and ripping an offense. And at the same time, I don't want to be disingenuous and tell you that it's all sunshine and rainbows, because it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel you, dude. I feel you, Brett. I did not want to watch the second half. I asked my wife, I said, do I have to watch the second half?
I know.
And
I was sitting down at the book asking to somebody the same thing. As like, man, do I have to watch this? They're like, I mean, you really don't have to. I'm like, no, I have to. I got to watch this.
I answered my own question. My wife made brownies, which I thought were going to be my saving grace. But then I put it in my mouth too hot, and I burned my mouth, and I tried to swallow it really quick, and I burned my esophagus. So that was also terrible. So me and Oklahoma just having a great day today. Mr. Redneck, he says, I'll be honest, the Jackson Arnold situation and now the offense struggles really has me questioning the overall decision-making. It's been terrible. I can't argue with you, Mr. Redneck.
I mean, should we just go out and play Casey Thompson and just call it a day? Then everybody can be mad about that too.
I mean, it's
go play Steele. Go play Steele. I think Steele should go out there.
Steele
go play. Yeah, go play him too. Just it's no matter what, the regardless of what the play call is, if the play call leads to people being open and the quarterback doesn't execute on it, then what? That's it. Like, I mean, the decisions are made to get guys open, and the guy needs to get rid of the ball. So we can start shuffling through a whole bunch of quarterbacks and just try to see who's going to actually throw the ball and go from there, or just deal with the growing pains. Guys got to learn. He's got to make mistakes and figure it out. And it sucks, but hey, that's the game.
Yep. Arch had a couple of turnovers during his time as the starter while Quinn was out. You don't see them like panicking because Arch had a couple turnovers, right? No. That's just what happens. Zia says
they also got all their starting quarterbacks, so yeah.
UTSA outperformed OU on offense against UT. I mean,
yeah, you're right. That's not wrong. I mean, that's a factual number. Go look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were plays where we had wide receivers open. There were plays they need to get open. It was a complete cluster from top to bottom, and they're going to figure it out. BV's going to have to answer to it. He will. I'm not concerned about him long term. We need to, and that right there, Randall, you just said it perfectly. That to me is where I was losing my mind. When you need to throw the ball away, you're not. But then it's fourth down, you still throw the ball away, and it's like, no, throw it to your guys. They have a chance. Just try. It doesn't hurt, right? It's no different than Nico running it out of bounds against Arkansas on that last play of the game. No, you don't run the ball out of bounds. You throw it downfield and just pray somebody tries to catch it.
Yep.
You give your guys the opportunity. You can't do that. You can't just end the play like that in those situations, and that's what killed us. That's what killed us is we weren't throwing the ball downfield. And I said that before. If we don't get the check downs, if we don't try, because we were doing fine on the run, except for when we were running Hawkins, we need to let him get the check down. The play action would have worked in this game, right? Honestly,
you're
the
running the
RPO
ball.
might have worked in this
You're actually being
game
effective.
because the outside zone was working. The RPO might have worked in this game, but it's more of a getting rid of the ball quickly. It was the less of the thinking and processing things, in which I know Michael Hawkins can do it. I've seen him play. I mean, I know Jackson at one point could. We watched him do that against Arizona, and we watched him do it against BYU. Right? And BYU's undefeated right now. Just FYI, they're actually having a really good season so far. We watched him do that, and then he just wasn't making the decisions anymore. It feels like the biggest thing too, John, I've noticed is that whenever turnovers happen, it's like it cripples this team. Like they kind of sulk when you turn the ball over.
Yeah.
I've noticed that, right? When Farouk had the first turnover against Arizona, they were like, all right, we're going to bounce back. We figured it out. We kept it 14-13. We went out and scored, and then we go out there to go up 31-13. Farouk fumbles again. They return it for a touchdown because nobody put in effort to stop. And then the team fell apart. That's when the team fell apart. And it felt like in this game too. That Hawkins fumble, because they scored a touchdown. We only get the ball for 2 plays, and we fumble immediately. And then they get the ball again, and it looked like the defense was like, shh, here we go again. Well, and I don't know what Thomas means. We have a QB coach. We do. We need to just fire him too. just fire everybody.
Yeah, so Kevin Johns is an offensive analyst, and he's your quarterback coach. And under new NCAA rules, you don't have any limitations or restrictions on coaches that can be available for you on the sideline or during practice. So they have a quarterback coach. His name is Kevin Johns.
He did good at Duke.
He's part of the unprepared nature of Oklahoma's quarterback situation all year.
Yeah, it's everybody. It's everybody. It's a top to bottom thing, right? You got Kevin Johns, who's your analyst, who's a quarterback, former quarterback and quarterback coach. Same thing. Same thing with, when you look at like JP Lossman, he's on staff. I know that he was doing some stuff as an analyst at one point too. The list goes on and on and on. We just need to now start to just get used to these growing pains.
Yep. Paul says no offensive creativity. Well, you saw some of that. They tried to run some triple option. They tried to run some odd counter where Michael Hawkins sprints out and then tries to hand it to Javonte Barnes, which I think went for negative yardage every single time. And they continue to go back to it. Like, I think Javonte Barnes' rushing line would look a lot better if that play was taken out of the script. Because I bet he had 4 carries and they went for negative yards on all of those. So they tried to be creative. It was just
they tried.
Yeah,
the creativity just didn't work. Sometimes it just don't work, and that's what you run into.
Decide AMVs are lit. I have no idea what any of that means. Says it's a quarterback, or it's not a quarterback problem. I don't disagree with you. I think the problems are bigger than the quarterback. I need the overarching offensive philosophy to not be, and team philosophy really, to not be so concerned about your quarterbacks turning over the football.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. I love that C. Jennings here said Oklahoma's Michigan in red uniforms. I totally see it.
We're there. Okay. Yeah. And you dominated both teams. So if you want me to tell you that you're good, you're fine. You're good. I think you're good.
I won't tell them that. I won't give them the satisfaction.
I have to.
All my Texas fans know. I've talked to my Texas fans already and let them know. But these guys in here, y'all don't get the satisfaction. Y'all don't deserve it.
I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Yeah, you don't deserve it.
Van has some. This one is a really good one. This is a heartwarming little story. Van Lightfoot says, "Love this rivalry. I grew up in a house divided. Mom was a Sooner. My dad went to, I'm guessing, to UT. We finally have that ball coach. I mean, Steve Sarkisian's doing a really, really nice job down there in Texas. I hate it. It sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah. Oh, and the fourth down play, man. You've got to give somebody a chance. You cannot just give up and throw the ball out of bounds. It shows really low situational awareness. And you've got to be better in that situation. And I'm sure that they'll talk about it on team tape, but you needed to be better for your team in that moment. You had to be. You have to give somebody a shot, even if you don't trust it. If it's a 15-yard interception down the field, who cares? It's still a better option than just throwing it out of bounds and giving up.
Yeah, and it's funny because the defense did everything that they really needed to do initially, and then it just started falling apart. That's exactly what happened. It's just the offense is complementary football is required if you want to survive in any sport. Both sides of the ball have to complement the other. You got to provide some offense so that your defense feels like their efforts are not wasted. They're going to go out there and bust their butt and do what they need to do, but I mean, it wasn't very hard. At a certain point, you start falling apart. It was bad. It was real bad.
Yeah.
It was real bad.
Yeah.
We should have scored.
We should have scored more. Michael Wick says this: I hated the 3-man defensive front today against this quarterback. He sliced and diced them with short passing because of it. I didn't care for it either. I felt like early in the game when they were getting pressure on Quinn, they were running more 4 down defensive linemen. I don't know. They were running a lot more 4-man fronts earlier in the season, and then I've done more 3-man fronts the last 2 games, and I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you run the 3-3-5 more whenever you're trying to slow down the pass. I mean, Quinn threw for 199 in this game. This is way under the number that he's typically doing. We didn't do what we needed to do to not let the defense on the field too much. And instead, Texas just started running the ball instead. And that's where they started to see more success. They were able to run the ball a lot more in this game than they were in others. For us, we needed to do a very much better job of keeping the ball going on offense, period. Like if you go back and look at all of it, you can't have a 5-play, 17-yard possession, a 5-play, 17-yard possession back-to-back, and then 2 back-to-back fumbles of 1 or 2 plays.
Yeah.
We literally just never had the ball after we gave Texas drove for their touchdown. After that, we literally gave the ball back within we had 13 plays. We had 13 plays and that was 4 different possessions. 13 plays over 4 possessions, and 2 of them were fumbles in short yardage.
Yeah.
Which is awful.
It's not good.
Which is awful.
No, yeah.
Got a lot of work to do, man.
They do have a lot of work to do. Lee Bird says Hawkins is not the villain. And yes, Texas played their best game so far this season and did it at the right time. Credit to their coaching staff for actually having them prepared. 100%. They played a better game. They were the better team by a long shot. And but Oklahoma doesn't fumble the football. Who knows what the game looks like? If Oklahoma's punting the ball down and making Texas drive the field, maybe it's a different story. Maybe you're not giving up the big gash run that led to a touchdown. If some things go Oklahoma's way, maybe it's a little bit different ball game too. If the fumble that occurred down near the goal line goes out of bounds, or if Danny Stutzman runs harder to that and knocks it out of bounds, maybe it comes up Oklahoma. The play early in the game where Grayson Halton chases down Quinn Ewers and stops him for like a 2-yard gain and forces a punt. Quinn Ewers actually fumbled the ball on that play, but he just fumbled it right back into, like, it wasn't a big fumble, but it fell out of his arms and right back into his belly. If that squirts free, maybe somebody from Oklahoma gets it and you get the ball in plus territory. Maybe it's a little bit different ball game. So yeah, nothing went right for Oklahoma in this game. It was just a poor performance. And you got to have a little bit of luck as well.
A lot of luck.
Jay says, wait, where is it at? Here it is. If Texas got caught in traffic and didn't make the game, OU would have won. Well, yeah, of course.
That is definitely a possibility. I don't know, though. I actually question that. That's something that's not a possibility.
Listen, I've spent 48 minutes without finding silver linings in this game, without finding some ifs in this game. So that's a record for me. So
I'm actually proud of you, John.
If you're going to criticize me for going 48 minutes without trying to find a bright side or some silver linings, then I'll never please you.
Yeah. You're not going to please. You're not going to please people with that. And the real ones understand. The goal here was to talk about what happened. We've got our criticisms, while also got to recognize that we've got to do better in things, and that's just kind of the game. And we just got to hope that long term we do better. That's all we can do.
Hey, I want to ask you what you think about this. Thomas asks or says, BV isn't the right guy. We hired an OU guy instead of a good football coach. What's your take on that?
I've seen Thomas really complain throughout the entire chat, so I'm not sure if I could really take that. I think that Brent Venables is doing a great job.
I agree.
Personally.
I concur. I'm disappointed that in
Yeah.
2 of the 3 years that he's been here that you've been blown out by Texas. But I think overall, you've recruited well. You've corrected your defense. Listen, when it got bad, it got bad. And when your offense isn't giving you any help, it's going to be hard on the defense to continue to make stop after stop after stop after stop. It wasn't good enough today defensively. They allowed over 400 yards, 177 rushing yards, 5 points. I had it just a second ago, like 5.6 yards per carry. They were 5 of 13 on third down. But ultimately, the defense was not the biggest issue today. And so he's done what you've asked him to come here to do, right? Under Lincoln Riley, offense was great. Defense was absolutely terrible for the most part. And you needed somebody to come in and fix your defense. Well, I think we've done that. And we're on a better trajectory for that. Because this isn't even your best defensive recruiting classes that you've had. Or at least the ones that you've had. They're true freshmen right now. David Stone, Jaden Jackson, Nigel Smith and Danny Okoye and Wyatt Gilmore. All those dudes are just true freshmen right now. So those guys are going to continue to get better and make your defense even better down the road. So I'm not going to, as much as I'm disappointed in what we saw today, I'm not going to go back on my belief that Brent Venables is not the right guy for this job. Any other comments that popped up that you felt like were interesting?
No, I'm good. I think I'm solid. I've already done all the complaining I'm going to do for the night. I'm good.
Yeah. Let's see. No, Jay, we're not going to go back to the wishbone. Let's not do that.
No. I like that one. Jay, you're right. This
Stop
Jay is saying that we should go straight to the wishbone. Let's go to the wish and the flex bone and just like do this. Let's just get weird. Let's just get weird. Sign me up for the weirdness. Sign up for the weirdness, baby. Let's go. I like weirdness.
I disagree. No, I do not want to go back in time 40 years.
John, we need to get weird.
50 years.
John, we need to get weird. Sign me up for the weirdness.
We'll talk about the offensive coordinator situation, as we get into the week. Because, I think there's certainly questions to be had about what we're getting from the offensive coordinators and your quarterback coach and your position coaches on offense, because we're not seeing anybody really step up and take advantage of opportunities to become a playmaker in this offense right now. And if that's a position coach, if that's a coordinator, I don't know what's going on, but nothing's really good in this right now. But we'll have a lot of coverage for this week on this week at Locked On Sooners. So make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Also, go check it out. Jay's show at Unfair Sports over on YouTube. Sorry, my brain is fried. Had a soccer game today as well. So it's just nothing as, And then the brownie burnt my throat. That was so disappointing. It was like, this brownie's going to be so good.
Everything bad happened to us today.
Brownie.
Believe me. I'm gonna go put 100 on red real quick.
With me, and I couldn't because I had to watch that disgusting second half. So
pain.
Anyway, we're gonna continue to dive into what went wrong, what needs to get better, what Oklahoma can do to correct it for South Carolina this week as we get you ready for the Gamecocks coming to Norman, get home, and see where they go from there. Again, follow Jay at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all the social media platforms. Go check it out. Thanks so much to everybody that joined the chat, especially those of you who were not relentless with your comments and your trolling abilities. We appreciate you guys and the discussion over there in the chat. As always, we'll be back again for this after the South Carolina game next weekend. And until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner. I'm off.